And welcome back to the Dean Obeidallah Show. We're live here Friday, August 16th. Third hour on Friday can only mean one thing. What just happened? As we look back at the insanity of the week, we have two returning champions and a new white guy. This is so great. let's introduce the returning champions first. We have Leighann Lord is back, award-winning stand-up comic, author. She's seen on Def Jam's Showtime, a special on Dry Bar, performed in all 50 states, 20 countries, and 6 continents. And we're trying to raise money to get her to the 7th continent. And this show, Leighann, good to see you, my friend.
Always good to be here.
Also, Keith Price is back, our buddy, comedian, actor, podcaster, radio show host, a regular on this show and other SiriusXM shows, and a lover of all things Broadway. He used to do stuff on New York One, doing Broadway reviews. Nice to see you, my friend Keith.
Hello, my darling. How are you?
Very good. Thank you. And now welcoming the new belle of the ball, our newest our addition, a guy that I met.
Fresh meat.
Right. That I just bumped into at the comic strip because I had a spot Sunday and we were talking. And I always say to comics, because they bring up the radio show, I go, do you like talking about current events? You don't have to be an expert. And Jason's like, I do. I love it. So it's Jason Salmon, stand-up comic, performed all over the world. His special Biscuits and Gravity is right now on YouTube. It's very funny. He's appeared on Orange is the New Black, 30 Rock, Comedy Central, and more. Jason, welcome to the show. Nice to see you, my friend.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
And by the way, Jason does have a Southern accent. It's going to be very intriguing how this could play out.
Yeah. Yes.
I just have to add, if we're going to introduce Jason in Bridgerton terms, he might be the new diamond of the season.
The new diamond of the season.
Ooh.
I only
do
saw
not
one.
know what that means.
It's
wow.
Okay, so
for any Bridgerton fans, I was just amazingly funny.
Wow. So everyone who watches Bridgerton is like, damn, this is great stuff. And the rest
this
of
is great stuff. In the room, no. In the wider world, I am killing it.
We're gonna pause. We're gonna pause the show so all of us can go watch Bridgerton. We'll return in about 3 days. Pick it up from there. So
I did wake up feeling like Cole, so this is a good transformation for me.
Is Cole on Bridgerton?
No, Cole is what turns into a diamond eventually.
Oh my God!
Ooh,
Let's just.
I
took the joke that didn't work away from you, Leighann. Now it's me. Now it's me.
Made it even better. All right, Keith, do you want to add something worse?
I was just gonna say, you want to be a diamond, honey? I'll squeeze you.
Okay.
Wow.
It's a whole different. It's a different show.
And we're off.
Taking a turn.
Yes.
Stop. I have to call HR right now. I'm sorry. This is uncomfortable for all of us. So, but let's talk about something that makes us excited and more than comfortable, really giddy. It is the joy of Vice President Harris. It is. I've never seen. I'm not kidding. I talk about it on the show. I forget policy. I've never seen a more stark contrast between the two nominees for president. And it's not about policy because they're vastly different. It's everything about them. Donald Trump is the physical manifestation of going backwards, but he's bitter. He is angry. It is white victimhood on steroids. It's such all about retribution, no fun at all. Vice President Harris, it's a festival of joy. It's hope. It's forward looking. She's the physical manifestation of a multicultural democracy, which is what Trump and a lot of MAGA hate, to be blunt. So, Keith, I see you nodding your head aggressively here. So what's your, how do you feel about where we are now, about a month into her candidacy?
I am extremely hopeful about all of this. I really do feel like at some point, at least I hope America is paying attention, like those everyday Americans that are like undecided and they don't know what to do because, like they've got to weigh the policies versus the issues. Those people that get on my fucking nerves, those folks.
Keith froze. He was making an excellent point. That's rare for Keith. He usually doesn't freeze. And he froze in action. So, which is actually kind of cool. All right. So Keith's going to have to come back. We're going to put him in the silent room for a little bit. He's going to have to drop. He'll rejoin. We'll pick up from there. Leighann. Oh, there he's back.
There he goes.
Keith, you froze. Wait.
Pick him.
You froze. You froze making the best point you've ever made in your life. That's the worst part of it. It was probably the best thing you've ever said. And no
by the way, I
concur.
concur.
Right. That's like, remember in Forrest Gump? Right on, Forrest. Like no one can hear it. But the guy playing Happy
Damn
Hoffman,
it, man.
that was it right there. Like right on, Keith. No one heard what you said.
I was feeling it. I was feeling this damn technology.
You were saying about Vice. Go ahead. No, pick it up. Vice President Harris.
No, I was just saying. I don't know where I cut off, but what I was saying is that with both of these candidates, the folks that are walking around the world now being all like unbalanced because they need to look at the candidates and look at the issues and do. If they're still playing that game with themselves, that's fine. But for the rest of the world that critically looking at what you're looking at, you cannot tell me that if you're picking the Orange Julius, as my friend, the dearly departed Barbara Rivers used to say, picking Orange Julius over what clearly is the ideal candidate, regardless of actually of her gender, regardless of the gender, an actual candidate that is going into the job of public service, which is what the presidency is as well, and really looking out for the public. Like, I don't know how else to help anybody who's still walking on the fence. So if they're still walking on the fence, as my old teacher used to say, you better be careful, because if you fall, especially if you're a man, you're going to fall and hurt yourself. Bam.
If you're on
saying.
the fence, you're telling us you're MAGA. I mean, let's be honest. Like, if you're on the fence here, just put the red hat on.
Just exactly, and stop being crazy.
Right. So Leighann, so what's your reaction now? It's really been just lifting this weight of that looked like impending doom. We were on the Titanic and we were all like, there's an iceberg. It's right there. And now, like, we're festive and happy, and I'm joyful.
It definitely feels like the scene from The Wiz, where the Wicked Witch is dead, and everybody's singing "Can You Feel a Brand New Day?"
Really?
So that is definitely what it feels like. And for the people who are picking her apart, I want to say I don't need my president to be Mother Teresa. What I need is for my president not to be Satan. And I think a lot of the joy right now is that we want the cool auntie. We don't want mean grandpa.
And it's kind of interesting now that the age of Donald Trump has become an issue in the campaign, where his whole thing was running against, the old man who doesn't know what's going on. Now he's running against someone 20 years younger. So Jason, just to tell people a little about yourself, though, you come from Texas, right? You come from a red state.
I do, yeah.
And you got a Southern accent, but that's not where it lines up.
My Rangers and my Texas Rangers paraphernalia.
So talk to us, my friend. So you're in between MAGA rallies. Well, what's going on with you?
Oh my God.
He's opening at MAGA.
Here's the thing. The reason that Texas has been viewed as so on board with Donald Trump is Texas loves sports, and that's the kind of hatred we're used to, is hating people for sports reasons. And he's the first politician, admittedly, who was the color of an actual sports team. And I think that sort of has messed with people's heads.
Right.
I mean, we've got a bright orange. I mean, I went to Texas A&M. Our arch rival is burnt orange, University of Texas.
Yes.
I can't root for Donald Trump innately, So
Okay.
it splits along these lines like that. I think, it turned out that we're in a post-policy world. People who are worried about policy, that's not how politics works anymore. It did.
Right.
It did. When Obama went against Romney, that was the last time that policy was part of the conversation. So since we're in a post-policy world, you just go with very base level facts.
Is it are we going with vibes?
America just doesn't want an old man.
Is it about vibes? I mean, we're doing it.
Vibes is one thing. I think it's about the capacity to speak. Honestly, it's simpler than vibes. It's about your soft palate. It really is.
So Vice President Harris today is laying out an economic vision for the country, and we should just go like, okay, that's adorable, but it has nothing to do with this election.
It's so pretty.
This election is between white supremacy and either going backwards to the 1950s before the Civil Rights Act and Jim Crow and embracing that, or moving forward. So that's why, they're like, she should sit down for an interview. I'm like, why? Why? Just look at them. Listen to them.
That's like telling Steph Curry in the Olympics when he was hitting three-pointer after three-pointer after three-pointer. That's like saying, hey, you should go drive the ball to the basket more. It's like, no, just keep shooting three-pointers until you miss. When you miss, then drive the ball to the basket. They're just mad because it's working.
You are so absolutely right, Jason. We just admit it's a personality contest, and
it is.
But
and now we see that he doesn't have one.
No, but it's not just, to me, though, the only thing I would say is, because I don't think you're saying this, Jason, that it's personality, like who do you like more? It's they're both manifestations of vastly different visions of America.
Yes.
So personality is part of it, right? But it really is. That's why it's so great at our rallies. We're not going back. Because Trump is saying, let's make America great again. Let's go back to when it was great in the mind of these people. And she's like, nope, we're turning the page. We're going forward. So this really is like an election before 1860, Abraham Lincoln. This is, and I don't think there's a civil war coming. It's just, that's not happening. But it's sort of like a dividing election in this country. Keith's like, we're going to have a civil war.
No, here's my thing about the Civil War issue
Oh,
is that
that's
my
kind of
thing is
scary.
no, my thing is try it. Just try it. You think you're fierce that you honestly think at this point in time that after we've gone through this whole January 6th foolishness that we are going to continue to allow especially deranged crazy ass white people, no offense Jason because you're darling, deranged crazy ass white people living in their fortresses with their own, arsenal, that we're going to let them just roam the streets and we're not going to send the militia. We're not going to do you honestly believe in this modern age that we're going to allow that to happen again? And if we do allow that to happen again, then we deserve to be in a civil war. But my thing is that we're going to have to start squashing the bug as soon as the bug steps on the pavement, because and that's the reason why
Like
we
a
are having
lantern
all
bug?
these issues
Like a lantern bug?
well, those are really sweet. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like
They're
a big giant
awful.
cockroach.
No.
And they're
They're
really
evil.
hard to crush. They're
Like
really
a big
hard.
giant water bug or a big, cockroach from back home. I'm from Texas too. But, stepping on one of those or bringing out the can of Raid to do whatever it is that you have to do to deal with that, because that's part of the problem. We're not dealing with these people that are acting like they think that they own shit. You don't own nothing. You
Right.
got guns.
And
Yeah,
just
you're
so it's
fierce.
clear, Keith,
You know?
Keith is not suggesting that people in MAGA are insects. He's saying it directly, just so it's very clear, everyone. He's not
I can't
inferring it. He's
care
making it very
anymore.
clear that they're insects and they're like water bugs. We have to use Raid to get rid of them.
Well,
Excellent. Leighann,
but
where are you
this
coming
is
on this?
but this is what happens when you don't teach history. It's a
Thank you.
disservice to everybody. A significant portion of this country is walking around with a delusional press release and an idealistic vision of what this country is instead of dealing with what it is,
Yeah.
and how it affects all of us. Because I would be sitting here lying if I didn't say I wasn't worried about the backlash.
Yeah.
Everything we're dealing with now, right now in this moment, is because of Obama. How dare we? How dare we? But if you study history, if you just widen that scope, every time we take one step forward, we are taking multiple steps back. America gets to the crossroads many times, and instead of taking that turn toward freedom for everybody, they hold on to their hate and go backwards every single time. So I'm allowing myself to have a little bit of joy now because I'm wondering how they're going to snatch it away later.
Jason, how are they going to snatch it away later?
You know those people.
Yeah, since you're in on the meetings, Jason.
Counterpoint by
Clearly.
Jason.
I agree with
You got to be
Leighann.
like a
We're
double
literally
agent
at
for
the
us.
fork in a road, and you're choosing between we're choosing between two road signs. But the thing is the Harris campaign is saying that. They're saying this road sign points that way. They're not saying read this pamphlet, read this 900-page book about this road sign. They're like, we just want to go that way.
Yeah.
And they realize the American electorate deals in slogans and simple phrases. And we have been conditioned by Procter and Gamble to buy things based on 30-second increments of time. And that is it.
Going back. It's
God,
great.
Jason, you got to stop talking. I'm gonna fall in love with you with all this science you
God.
dropping.
Here we go
Boy.
again.
You better cut
See,
it
now
out.
do you see why I said what I said? I knew you were going to love Jason.
You better stop being so
Well, here,
adorable.
it's a love
I was
fest,
trained to
Leighann.
talk on the front porch of a house, so this is exactly how
This is very nice.
I
You're
was
doing
bound
great.
to talk for the rest of my life.
Leighann Lord, Keith Price, and Jason Salmon are with us. Jason, when I joke around saying you're white, I'm not joking when I say this. Do you identify as white or do you identify as something else? Because people think I'm white, I'm mixed. I'm half Arab, half Italian. And Italians weren't white when my grandparents got here, but they're white now. But the Arabs are certainly not white. They're not white at all. That maybe one day they will be in America. So I don't know what's your background?
I sent off my 23andMe and it came back as a blank sheet of paper. That's how white I am. I thought on the back it just said, no, these are your results. That's what it said.
This is a white. I was at the comic strip recently and I said to a person in the audience, "Are you white?" And she goes, "No, I'm European." But she was from, I'm like, "Where are you from?"
That's the
She's
beginning of white.
That's right. No, but the thing is, people in New York who are liberal don't want to say they're white. Like, no, I'm not white. It's like inherently negative.
I'm
That's not even a
white,
joke. That's
yeah.
I'm
literally what
European
happened.
American.
Right. I started laughing. I'm like, "What are you?" I'm like, "Were you born in Europe?" She goes, "No." She's here for generations. But their new thing is like, "No, I'm not white," because white's pejorative. This is negative. But European, it sounds so cosmopolitan. Oh, like really?
Right.
Where in Europe are you from?
And also insulting, as if Black folks don't live in Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think of that, but
You
okay,
know.
Leighann, you're right. It's not something
I'm
I was
just putting it out
amazed
there.
about
You know, we do globetrot.
Yes,
I
honey.
have passport with extra pages, so we get out.
Thank you.
What I think her origin story, if she was a white superhero, would have been Europe. That's what she was getting at. Like she came from a white nation, whatever it is, Belgium. I was in the Netherlands on vacation. That's white. Really nice people, very tall, alarmingly tall. Like
Yes.
they're
That's what I
giants.
hear.
The tallest people
Mhm.
ever. I felt
Yeah,
like
they
a
are.
child. Like they just put me in their pocket and took me in my hotel. Like, come here. What room are you in? Third floor. Let's take you up there. So
Where's your mom?
Which is
now
why it's
here
considered a friendly country.
they were very nice. They were not. Then we went to Paris, which I like Paris a great deal, but it's like New York. Everyone is fast paced. There's no time for extra niceties at all. Netherlands, everyone wants to talk to you. Like very, very nice. I really enjoyed it there. Very nice people. So we're all from a comedic background. The Harris campaign in their press releases are continually using comedy in a cutting way where the media has to quote some of it. They have no choice because they're inherently like, well, what's the other side saying? Before Trump's press conference yesterday, I'm going to read some, and this is not a joke. This is literally what they sent out. It said, press conference today, said, media advisory, Donald Trump to ramble incoherently and spread dangerous lies in public, but at different home. Because his last event was in Florida. This was in Jersey. It says today at 4:30, that was yesterday, Donald Trump, loser of the 2020 election by 7 million votes, will hold another public meltdown in Bedminster, New Jersey. And the preview of the thing says, not so fresh over Florida and Twitter glitches. Trump intends to deliver another self-obsessed rant full of his own personal grievances to distract from the toxic Project 2025 agenda, unpopular running mate, increasing detachment from reality. Like Democrats never did this stuff. This is and it's every day. I'm on the press list. Like
this is what happens when you put seasoning on your food.
Amen.
This is what spice tastes like, y'all.
Honey.
I am here for it. I am only angry. I am not in that writer's room.
Hello.
What? I would do it for free.
Yeah.
What?
The idea though that they are being that bold makes me feel like there's like some sassy queen working in the office that's got in charge. This is like, you know what? This is what we're gonna do. Okay, we're gonna say this. This is what we mean. This method is crazy, but this is what we're gonna say. Okay.
The whole vibe for that is like, I didn't start it, but I will finish it.
Amen.
Meet me outside.
That's it. 3 o'clock, bitches. 3 o'clock. Let's do it.
3 o'clock.
Come on.
What do you think, Jason, about the use of comedy? I mean, there is a line where you can get yourself in, I don't mean with a joke going too far, but you know, these things are hitting. They're really funny. They're getting picked up.
You're talking to a guy who lost most of my high school friendships during the last 5 years of politics just by posting really not offensive jokes, but just by posting critical jokes, you know, and people just unfriend me. And I think we got to realize we're not in the same political world we used to be in. We're not in a policy world. You got to think it's like things make sense in that context that don't make sense anymore. You know, it's like how my wife is like, you know, the fastest way to your heart is through your stomach. That's great. That's sweet in that context. If my cardiologist said that, I would freak out and be like, no, that's not the way to my heart. You need to go through the chest cavity. You know, it's like, I mean, but that's the thing is we got to understand we are in this world. And I think the only thing you got to do is make sure there's a balance. I think Walz was a great pick because he taught children, and that is who you are dealing with, children.
Amen.
And so because of that, he's well versed in saying, hey, you're wrong. I love you, but you need to fix yourself, you know, and that throws them off because they're not used to kind critique that's funny and pointed.
You want to know how the Harris team responded, their press statement afterwards that they gave to the press and sent on a press statement was after Trump's press conference, literally wrote, the headline was statements on Trump's ... whatever that was. And I swear to God, the first line is, we aren't sure what we just watched and neither is America. They are trashing the crap out of him every day. And they're also saying things that are factually correct. Like Donald Trump, the man who incited the January 6th insurrection, which Biden didn't want to lean into that. They are doing it in press release after press release. The man who attempted a coup, they're putting that in press release. And the media has to pick some of that up and go. And the Harris campaigns noted that Donald Trump, they're playing the game well because they know the media they're like,
Has to,
they have to feel like, okay, we have to put something in that press release, and everything is buried in there within commas and stuff, and you can't start editing like that. They're doing a really effective job. Now, again, I don't think most people are. If you love politics, you're reading this Politico article about their response, but I just think they're trolling the crap out of Trump, and Trump can't respond. Look at him; he's a mess. I mean, I have to be honest. He's a effing mess. I don't like to curse on the show. You can.
It says it's quite a message that you can consider somebody trolling when they're trolling with the truth.
Thank
Where
you.
did they lie?
Thank you.
As opposed to other folks.
Yeah.
They breathe, they lying.
Okay.
What great point, my friend. So yesterday, Trump had a press conference, air quotes. The week before he called a press conference, the media covered MS, CNN, everyone, PBS, wall to wall, even some CBS, NBC took some of it. And according to NPR, 161 lies and exaggerations in a little over an hour, which would be a record.
That's about average, actually, for him.
That's
about an average.
So, but between last week and this week, Lawrence O'Donnell goes on air at MSNBC and criticizes his own network, going, "You can't do that. You got to fact check it, whatever." Yesterday, press conference again. MS doesn't cover it at all. They ignore it. PBS doesn't cover it. NBC, no one. CNN, I mean, Fox is going to cover it. Sadly enough, CNN covered it live, and I'm like, you know he's going to lie, so you're amplifying misinformation, because correcting afterwards doesn't do it. I don't know what the media gets. They're losing the sense of they're making themselves irrelevant. I mean, their ratings are down 50% from 2020 to 2024 in terms of CNN's primetime schedule, and they don't get by doing this stuff. It's no longer fairness. They're even making people on the left go, "I'm not going to watch. I don't need to watch it. I'll listen to a podcast. I'll watch YouTube."
Well, what should happen? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dean.
No.
I was just going to say, but what should happen is that instead of airing these press conferences live, they need to literally tape them, go do the fact checking, and then air them. And then as they air them, run the lie, what the story is that's a lie underneath it. Only because it takes that long to have to fact check it. When it takes a couple of hours, whatever it is that it takes them to do, they have an entire team sitting in the production office that can do that. And within an hour, turn around that interview and show all of the lies. But it's like, if you're going to allow them to say it, that puts the lie out in the air, unchecked, unrefreshed, and then people are going to walk away going, either they know that it's a lie or sense that it's a lie, or they're going to take that as the salt of the earth truth. And by the time you decide to put the facts that are actually out there that are going to counter all of this, it's too late. It's too late. Nobody wants to hear that. It's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, he lied about that. He just, he be lying all the time. and that's it. And that's it.
Right. And the thing is, with Trump, as opposed to other politicians who sometimes exaggerate or mistruths, Trump says things are objectively lies. Like he said yesterday that 100% of the new jobs in Biden administration were given to migrants. And then he goes and he adds, it might even be more than 100%. Yeah. You could easily go like, there's nothing bigger than 100%. You could fact check right there. This isn't Spinal Tap. You can't go to 11. So Leighann, any ideas on how the good ways to fact check it, or just don't air? I mean, some of the networks feel compelled. He's the Republican nominee for president to air some of it. I'm glad MS just ignored it. Like, we're not playing this game.
As much as people knock technology, I believe that we are at the point where live fact checking can happen. The New York Times does it, during debates. So to have that chyron and that fact checking going on in real time is absolutely possible. And I think there's too much at stake here for journalists to be at best lenient and at worst incompetent, because it does a disservice to the institution of journalism, and it makes people distrust them. Like, y'all are the ones that said y'all want to know. Y'all are nosy for a living, and y'all can't ask no question in real time that everybody else in their living room is asking while throwing all sorts of things at their television. Come on, y'all.
Yep.
Come on, y'all. That's Leighann Lord.
Come on, y'all. That's my slogan. Come on, y'all.
Thank you for using my language. I appreciate that.
Jason, do you have any creative ideas?
Cross the aisle.
Yeah, I think the key is we got to understand that the network bosses are framing their shows like sports programs so that they can make more money, but they're hiring journalists who went to school to learn how to conduct a normal, regular interview. But we are not in that world. I think you got to like start off instead of saying, "Hey, he's holding a press conference in Bedminster," say the man is holding a press conference with tables full of food on his front lawn. He's holding a yard sale. He's just spitting. He's just sitting there ranting at a yard sale. They should have that should be the bottom thing. Old man rants at yard sale.
Get out of my yard.
And then look, you can fact check. I say fact check, but not with a standard chyron. I mean, I grew up Gen X watching pop-up video. Every time he says a lie, have a thought bubble pop up and go, actually, this. Because you've got a glowing orange human on the screen. The chyron's not going to distract people from that. But a thought bubble in cartoon language, yes.
I like that. The little video within a video,
yes,
too. A little like
pop-up video is perfect.
Pop-up video fact check.
Damn it, Jason. Damn it. Stop making me fall in love with you. Cut it out. You just cut it out right now.
Now you see why I was Team Jason. I was on your team before you even popped on the screen, Jason.
But I told you though, he had to let me hear what he got to say first. Oh my God! What?
Oh, see,
and he can come to the cookout. It sounds like too.
I'm there. I'll cook if need be. Whatever needs to happen.
There's so much love. I don't like it. I got to be honest. I'm from Jersey. This is a little uncomfortable. I like people going, "What are you looking at?" That's the kind of thing. Like, hey, not for nothing, but hey, this guy's okay. That kind of stuff. Not like I love this guy. He's the best guy ever. But all right, we're gonna take a break to break up the love. Come back and talk about JD Vance, who just gets worse probably during this taping. He's probably said more stuff that's just out, or we found another podcast from just 2 years ago, not 20 years ago, like 2 hours ago. Like, what is wrong with you? We'll take a break. We'll be back with more of what just happened right after this. And welcome back, Dean Obeidallah show. We're continuing what just happened. Leighann Lord, Keith Price, and Jason Salmon have all stuck around. JD Vance. Jason, do you have any initials you go by? Or you like you're just Jason?
Jason. I'm just Jason. I don't. Yeah.
I didn't know it was like you're not from Appalachia, so he's got his own.
I think I stopped. I did go by JJ, but I think that ended in kindergarten. My mom's like, you need to get a job. You need to straighten up your life.
I had JD Vance's law school roommate on the show Tuesday. He came in. He's a state senator now. He's the one that leaked the text messages where JD Vance said he could be America's Hitler. Yeah. And I said to him, so you live with him. What was it like? Did you ever come home and the couch was disheveled or something? Ooh. And he goes, I'm not talking about that stuff. I'm a state senator. I'm like, all right. Did you ever find?
However, we did have to get it covered.
I said, there was ever any drag stuff? Like, what was going on? And he wouldn't give me any kind of dirt like that. But he did talk about JD Vance, who is really, here's the weird thing. He comes from a family where I should almost like him. Like, he came from blue collar family. Instead, he comes across as a frat boy douchebag right now. That like he looks down on. I feel like he's looking down on all of us. He shouldn't be like that. He should be the opposite. Whereas, like, I understand people have come from working class families, that kind of stuff. So what we learned this thing on Wednesday, we'll start with this one. This just happened this week on Fox News. He said about women who were concerned over abortion. He said to Laura Ingraham, no, suburban women are not worried about abortion. They care about, quote, they care about normal things. And then he added grocery prices. And I'm like, to you, The Handmaid's Tale is a rom-com. I mean, to this guy. So Leighann, what do you think? You're not a suburban woman. You're an urban woman. You live in the city. But do you think abortion is of a concern to women? Is the price of eggs going up 12 cents or forced to carry a fetus against their will? Like, where does it play out?
So quiet as it's kept. Women can hold multiple thoughts in our pretty little heads.
Oh, interesting.
I can care about the economy.
Yeah, that's
Thank you. I can care about I can care about the economy, and I can care about body autonomy. I can care about the price of eggs and my eggs. Okay. And what the conservatives have done to both is absolutely criminal. That is my thought.
I think that's very good. And you had two thoughts at the same time, which again really stuck.
And now I need a nap. Amazing. Now I need a nap.
Wow. So Jason, where do you come down on the idea of JD Vance saying what suburban women want, which is the ultimate mansplaining? He's telling them, no, they don't want reproductive freedom and self-autonomy. This is what they want. I'm telling you, this is ridiculous.
Well, I first of all, I am subject to the stereotype. I do have trouble listening to two thoughts at once. And I think that's part of JD's problem, is that he's not used to hearing two thoughts at once because he's been told, You're only allowed to hear part of what's being said to you. The other thing about JD Vance is I read Hillbilly Elegy. He's a smart dude. He's
Sure.
pretending to be MAGA. It's clear. He meant what the real JD Vance is the guy who sent the Hitler text.
Right.
I mean, watching JD Vance pretend to be MAGA is like watching Steve Buscemi in that sketch pretend to be a teenager. You know, I forget what this. I think it was on the Chappelle's. I don't remember where it was. But it was the dumbest thing. It's like watching just somebody who's well read pretend like they're the actual thing.
And he went to Yale Law
he's
School. Yep.
yeah, so he's going on there and he's saying no, no, no. This is the thing. He's trying to make it sound thoughtful and well and it sounds dumber when you are a smart person saying it. That's the thing.
That's just a Josh
Trump
Hawley
can
thing.
get away with it
Right.
because
Uh-huh.
he sounds like the human version of just a puffy finger, you know? Just so it makes sense when he
I know
says,
that the big number one hand. You were saying
yeah, the
that
big number
talking,
one hand, orange, of
or
course.
the cowboy hat with the beer on the
Yeah,
top.
or the
And
massive cowboy hat that
Ay,
doesn't go
ay, ay.
anywhere.
right.
It's like
So
if that said what Trump says, we go like, that sounds like something that a foam object would say.
and also, so let me add a new thing here that we learned in 2021 on a podcast. JD Vance said that Trump says Mexicans are bringing crime. JD Vance in 2021 said that Italians, Irish, and German immigrants were bringing crime because you had a massive wave of Italian, Irish, and German immigration that had its problems. They had higher crime rate. So now my grandparents from Sicily apparently brought crime. This guy's such a douchebag. Like I really personally don't like this guy. Keith, what do you
Well,
is he just the worst? Did Trump
I,
pick him to make himself look better? I mean, what's going on here?
you know what's so funny is that I feel as if they picked him without really vetting him because he seemed like the cool, smart guy for them to choose. And then now what we're finding out is like, how did you not know he did a drag moment someplace in his past? How did you not like what kind of vetting are y'all doing so that you could at least present somebody that people can kind of go, I mean, it's like the complete opposite of Mike Pence. You know what I mean? Because Mike Pence was trying to play the I'm Christian religion, look at me and my mama next to each other thing versus this guy who's like, hey, I'm just like you. We come from the same place. I'm working just as hard as you are, and we're doing whatever. And look at me and look at you. No, bitch, look at you in that damn wig. Where did you get that Party City wig? Come on now. You're gonna give me that 10-cent drag? Come on now, honey. You need to stop pretending. And that's exactly what you're saying. It's like I feel like, we watch people like him, Holly, Ted Cruz, all of these people that went to Harvard and they went to Yale and they went to all of these really impressive law schools. And I just wonder, those law schools, would they like to go back and maybe rescind some of their JDs that they've given out to some of these people? Because honestly, what kind of law are you teaching these people? Because I just don't understand it. Like, remember when Ketanji Jackson, Judge Jackson, was sitting there from Harvard looking at Ted Cruz, who was in her class, having to answer questions to that fucking douchebag. I'm sorry again. And it's
That's
like,
fine.
you guys.
He froze. Keith again making greatest points ever. JD Vance really is becoming the white George Santos. I mean, we don't know anything. The drag, we don't know much about him, that he's making up stuff. And more, he had another 2021 20 podcast.
However,
Keith, you froze. So I was just filling in the dead time.
I like
he
that he didn't
returned.
unfreeze
Damn
him. He
it.
just said, however.
damn it.
Yeah, we lost you right at when you were talking about Ketanji and
Yeah.
how Ted
Okay.
Cruz
So
was in her class.
Ketanji
KBJ.
having to answer to someone like a Ted Cruz, who's like, sitting there in this place of judgment over her, when you know full well she's probably far more qualified than he has ever been. She probably made way better grades than he did, which is the reason why he's sitting there smirking, knowing that his mediocre behind managed to get past her because she's a black woman, and now he's going to stand in the way of that. And that's what, JD Vance, like that whole thing about him walking to her plane to the Air Force Two with his entourage trying to show up. It's like, stop playing. This is what's happening. Those people are playing, and they're playing with our lives. It's not that they're playing with, they're doing cosplay or they're playing, pickleball or something, whatever the hell that is. But like these people are really affecting the rest of our lives. These are people who are affecting the rest of our destinies in this country. And we're allowing this clown show between, Donald Trump and his orange hair and then this bad guy with his horrible Party City wig. We're letting these folks wind up deciding things for us. Like, I just don't understand how an average American who can see that would be inclined to want to deal with that. And it's just like,
well, some people like that
it's,
shit.
it's
That's the
disgusting.
country
It's
we
just
live in.
disgusting.
Right.
It's disgusting.
This election's still going to be close.
Oh God, yeah.
As much as a jarring contrast between the two, it could not even, there's not even overlap. It's still going to be close. That's the country we live in.
But
She may
and
win
also,
the popular vote by 10 million votes.
of course,
Maybe,
but
and that would be great.
That won't make a difference.
But here's what we need to also address, which we have not addressed since the election of 2016, since the election of 2020. And that is all of this craziness that's gone around with the polling situation, where we have all these states that are doing things like, they've moved polling stations, they've moved places to make it inconvenient for folks. They're taking away the ability to be able to do by mail. Then we do by mail, and then we still got this idiot Louis DeJoy still running the Postal Service, which, his whole point was to break it all up the first time. So I wish that we also, as we are living in this joy of Kamala, and we're living in the joy of what this could potentially bring to us as a country, that we don't forget that we still got these shysters that are standing behind us, trying to do anything and everything to cheat, to take over this thing. And they've succeeded with a lot of stuff legislatively. So we need to pay attention from the top to the bottom.
We do.
And it's great. But, hope plus, that's what I want.
Well, look, we have to win this election first and foremost right now. And
absolutely.
We have a lot of good lawyers involved that they were really good in 2020. We've had experts on that have come on from organizations that are really watching very carefully. CREW, just the citizens, they deal with ethics. CREW, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics, whatever W stands for. It's CREW. They just wrote a great. Why not? They just wrote a great report. We're going to have them on talk about all the concerns they have about election deniers in different key positions. And in Georgia, the state senator was on Tuesday talking about that's new rule down there to delay certification. So you're very, very correct. So here's something that was very interesting on CNN last night. Nancy Mace, a Republican from South Carolina, Republican member of Congress. Well, one time was anti-Trump. She refused to say Kamala's name correct. And at one point they were being playful. Keith Boykin was on with her, a Democrat, and Michael Eric Dyson was on with her, and she almost got it right. He goes, "You almost got it right there." And he's like joking. You see, you almost did it. And she said, "I will say Kamala's name," and she didn't say it the right way, "any way I want to." And then as Michael Eric Dyson snapped back, you're doing this, you're being offensive and disgusting. You keep doing this on purpose. You can say her name and you just won't say it. And she got really mad at him and then said Kamala Harris and said it wrong again. So, Leighann, I mean, is this part of the beginning of the backlash that they will not pronounce a black woman's or a multicultural, but she's black and she's brown name right because this is their way of trying to delegitimize her?
Well, I actually, the rare times that I turn on my television, I was cooking and I heard that in the background. So I heard it in real time, and Nancy, or however she says her name, was being
Nanki. I think it's pronounced Nanki.
Nanki, something like that.
I think it's Nanki.
Yeah,
it's a weird name. It's very
something like that. It's a weird name.
Nanki Machi. Nanki Machi.
It's really old timey.
It's pronounced NIMBY.
NIMBY.
Right. Yes, there we go. Yeah, multiple pronunciations. But I find myself wondering, because that was deliberate and it was childish. And when I was a kid, I thought adulthood meant something. I thought these were the people in charge. They knew what they were doing. I have since been greatly dissuaded from this. Everybody's making it up as they go along. But I'm like, the childish approach, the name calling, the misnaming, that's what you have? That's your defense? Instead of picking apart possibly her policies, possibly how she did her job, something real. Give me something real to go, okay, you've actually looked at this woman in her career. Don't just tell me she's incompetent. Give me something real. You can't tell me she went to school. You can't tell me she was an attorney general. You can't tell me she was a senator and she doesn't know what she's doing. And you can't say her name right. Ma'am, you are petty. and I'm not here for her pettiness.
And their pettiness is exactly as Michael Eric Dyson said. It's offensive, disgusting, and the idea was to demean her, not on policy, not on anything she's done, but just for the white base of MAGA to go, see, I'm not going to call this black person her name. And it's not even like Barack Hussein Obama. That really was his middle name, right? So they were doing it to demonize, but at least it was real. This, if you're not smart enough to say her name, just say, I'm not smart enough to say her name. But these people are, and they were doing it this way. So Jason,
that should be a qualifier. Like I think the moderator at that point, first, before we go to you on this question, I need you to say who we're talking about. And if they don't, we're saying we're skipping you this round. I think every moderator should be wearing their WWTWD bracelet. What would Tim Walz do?
What would Tim Walz do?
Because you are dealing with high school children for the most part when you bring right-wing punditry on your show. You are. So you got to say, look, these are the rules. You do this. I mean, I think she initially, pronounced it right, and then she changed it, she forgot that she's a smart enough person to do it right. She forgot. She's like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot I'm playing this game. They're just playing games. They're high school children playing games. And the thing is, if you get offended by their games, you look like the mean teacher. You gotta condescend to their games. You go, look, we're gonna give you a hug, but first we're gonna teach you how to be a correct human. You know, I think the moderators need to have a snark to them.
They're not going to. CNN's not. I mean, Emma's my Joy Reid. Joy, who does.
Joy would have stopped that.
She would have. That whole conversation.
You go back to the dressing room until you can get yourself together.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Joy doesn't play. That's not that bullshit. Go ahead, Keith.
Well, I was just going to say, because it feels as if, though, it's part of the disrespect, and it's also part of the need to find something to diminish her, because you can't really diminish her record per se. I mean, you know, you could poke holes in it. Yeah, you could say she might have taken a few people out that may have had a moment of innocence, whatever. You could go that route with some of her stuff if you really dig that deep. But they're digging deep right now, and all they can come up with is Kamala. You know what I'm saying? All they can come up with is, oh, she's not black-ish enough. Or, you know, this is where it's all
superficial. You're right. Like that's as deep it is the superficiality.
That's as far as they can go.
And they're playing on real things. They're playing on the fact that she's got a different name that some people do have hard. I mean, I've said her name incorrectly more than once. I have a name that people say incorrectly. My last name's Salmon, and
it's Salmon on the show.
And Salmon.
Salmon. Where's Salmon?
My name is Leighann with a G&H in it.
It's spelled salmon. I understand it. Yeah. If you've ever eaten sushi,
so Jason Salmon. So your name, I mispronounced your name. We have to go back and start this all over again. Folks, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
But what they're doing is they're playing on these things that they can pretend are excusable.
Right.
And you got to know that they're doing that whole game.
Yeah.
But there's also a historical context. Once again, we don't teach history. You know, there was a time when you did not refer to Black folks with Mr. or Ms. When a man was called a boy, when a grown woman was referred to as a girl, when a child could refer to a grown woman by her first name because she was working for their family. So this has a historical context that hits different when Black folks or when people of color come here and they hear that you are intentionally being disrespectful.
Because they know how to pronounce Benjamin. Yeah, but they know how to pronounce Benjamin Netanyahu.
How about that?
Let's not even bring that name. That's a whole different conversation.
No, but I'm just saying. No, but I'm just saying. That's the name that I bet you, if you ask Miss Machi, what's her name, Nansai Machi, you ask her to pronounce. I bet you she knows how to pronounce that one.
But there's a lot of right.
Well, this is that hater. This is more of the hater-ish, as they say.
It's not that you don't know how to pronounce it. We're not. There's a time when you don't know. Then you ask and you clarify and you attempt to get it right. And that not even wanting to do that the basics of humanity, the basics of interpersonal communication tells me you are a disingenuous player.
That's what's worse about what she did is because she clearly knew it and she forgot. She's like, oh, I'm supposed to not know it.
I'm not supposed to not know
She
it.
played her card
It's
early.
comma.
Yep.
It's cut like a comma.
She said it
Look,
How hard is
correctly the
that?
first time, and then she corrected it to incorrect.
All right,
Yes.
last thing. We only got a few
That's
minutes left.
how you know.
Okay, we got a few minutes left. I want to get everyone to plug their stuff, but also next week, Monday to Thursday, the Democratic National Convention. Are you going to watch it? And do you think they'll get bigger celebrities at the DNC than Kid Rock and Hulk Hogan than they are at the RNC? Because those are big names. Those are big C-list names. So you got to go.
Look,
Can Democrats get the B-list?
to be fair, from the decade they were trying to go back to, those aren't just big names; those are futuristic names.
Well, let's talk about a B name. My friend Leighann, Beyonce. Do you think Beyonce? That's the one everyone's wondering. Do you think Beyonce will be there? Does it matter to you if she's there or not? What do you want to see at the convention next week?
Okay, I can't afford to see Beyonce no matter where she pop up.
Okay. Okay.
And I don't know if I'll watch the convention. Maybe I'll have it on in the background. It's like a party that I have not been invited to, and so I'll catch the highlights.
So, what about Jason? Will you watch Jason Salmon? Is that how
I know it.
Jason,
I know it.
Jason
I really
Kamala?
screwed up this
Is it
whole
Kamala?
thing.
Jason. It's Jason, right?
Salmon.
Look, I've traveled all over too. I've been called Hassan, so yeah, no worries. We're good.
I don't even know. All right, are you going to watch any of it next week? And anything you're looking forward to?
I will, because I'm interested in how much they don't stick to policy. To be honest with you, I'm interested in how much they play the game.
Okay.
And how well they play.
I'll watch
the
that
game.
too then.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of what I love the fact that the word weird is still floating around.
Hello.
I mean, that is one word that, if we look back on this, could have toppled an entire political party.
The weird party. Keith, what about you? Are you going to watch it? Is there anything you're looking forward to? You're going to watch Kamala's speech?
Well, I'm going to watch as much as I possibly can until I can't watch anymore. And that's probably going to be about an hour on the most. But here's the thing. The celebrity idea is really wonderful. It's great that they're going to come. They're going to bring their awareness. They're going to bring their peoples, pay eyes to that stuff. But in the end, people really resent the celebrity energy. So I don't want to see too much celebrity. I want to see a sprinkle or two. Well, I mean, if Beyonce was the one that, if you could bank on that,
because the song, because Kamala's song is freedom. The Beyonce song.
So what would be fierce is if it's Beyonce that introduces Kamala. That would be fierce with that song playing in the back. That would be over. And at that point, go ahead and give it to her, because I'm saying you got to give the sister her crown at that point when you got Beyonce bringing you to the world.
I want to see how many cats they can weave into the conversation and just have walking around the convention hall just full of cats,
like a bodega, like a giant bodega.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's a great thing to bring up the JD Vance comment. I wonder if Snoop Dogg will show up, because he was everywhere in the Olympics. I don't even think he was scheduled. He was just everywhere. I'm like, why is he here? He might show up there. Maybe it's Snoop Dogg talks about cats. I don't know.
At this point, I assume Snoop Dogg will be there.
He's everywhere. He'll be at the comic strip tonight, 8:00 show. So, Jay, where can everyone follow you? Leighann, where can people follow you on social media and anything you want to plug, please?
I am veryfunnylady.com. That's my website, but I am Leighann Lord on Instagram, TikTok for some reason. Those are the two happy places. I'm still on Twitter because I do love a good dumpster fire, but it's not a whole lot of time I spend there. IG is really where I live and have fun now. And if you want to have fun.
Leighann froze. I don't know what's going on. We don't have many freezes. She froze. All right, Instagram, follow her, very funny lady. I know her plug and everything. Keith, Comedy Daddy, tell us about your stuff.
On the Twitter at Comedy Daddy, KeithPriceComic.com for everything else. And if you love my theater stuff, come to KeithPriceCurtainCall.com and see what I'm talking about next. The Wiz is closing this week. And also, too, for those who are big Broadway folks, the Broadway 2 for 1 week is starting. Come to my page and I'll send you the link, and you'll be able to try to get your tickets for the shows on Broadway for that specific week. All right?
That's great. So like $1,000. Excellent. And Jason, whatever your last name is, what do you want to plug?
Look, if you're pronouncing it salmon, you are spelling it correctly. And on social media, that's really all that counts. So it's J Salmon Comedy, spelled salmon.
Jason Salmon. I've known you
Jay
forever.
Salmon, not Jason Salmon. Jay Salmon.
Oh, online. You're saying I'm
Online.
right.
All of my handles are that. And you can check out my special, Biscuits and Gravity, on YouTube.
Not to be confused with gravy. You can't be any more difficult, can you? This is
I
unbelievable.
am, yeah, my entire life is a poorly phrased pun.
Well, all right. Jason, Jay Salmon, K Price, Leigh Lord. Thank you guys for all being on. Great. We're going to take a break and come back with